Today was a very exciting day here in Kuala Lumpur where I discussed how digitalization and broadband in general, they can be new power for new Malaysia. From broadband perspective, the gentleman from MCMC actually, he mentioned that right now the penetration for broadband is about 70% and 90% of those 70% are from mobile. So that tells you the power of wireless here to energize the broadband in Malaysia. So from that perspective, what is needed? We need coverage, ubiquitous coverage. We need to increase the speed. We need also to have less latency. And more importantly, we need the right operational model based on experience. From digitalization perspective, we have to talk about IoT and big data. IoT is very important because IoT will represent more than $10 billion by year 2025. For big data, it actually will contribute up to 12% of Malaysia GDP by year 2030, which is about $40 billion. So that tells us the importance of digitalization and broadband for overall Malaysia economy. Now, moving on, we mentioned that there are actually a lot of actions that needed to be taken because building a new Malaysia, we need to have collaborations. Collaboration between who? Between government, operators, all of the stakeholders in the ecosystem. They need to collaborate together in order to solve all of the issues here in broadband and digitalization. For example, from the government perspective, they need to license more spectrum. So the size of the spectrum right now licensed in Malaysia is about 105 megahertz, which is far less than the 300 megahertz target by year 2020. On the other hand, there is already unutilized ICT spectrum about 300 megahertz in Malaysia. So the government need to license more spectrum, that's number one, and that spectrum needs to be technology agnostic and it also needs to be application agnostic. Sites are very important for wireless in general, and from sites perspective, the government needs to put together the policy to enhance the number of sites and they make it simpler in order to adopt sites. So open up public facility for ICT sites. This is important. Making the site resources like gas and power available, that's also important. Now, there are other things from the government need to do. For example, mobilize more services, that's number one. And number two, they have to enhance the degree of the awareness, the digital awareness from the users.